could scale 2 agencies to a combined revenue of $160,000 a month using AI.
Jack built a 7-figure AI automation business after exiting his tech startup as a top 100 UK entrepreneur. Mr. Roberts.
Mr. Sarave, how's it going, bro?
What's up?
Dude, okay, so like I've been fighting for every G of Wi-Fi, 5G. I've been on 1G for weeks, bro. I'm so glad to finally just get some internet connection, man. It is insane.
Yeah.
Honestly, Craig.
I feel that. Complete game changer. Dude, my major unlock was me getting a physical cord and plugging that into my computer and then like tripling my effective download speeds. The second I did that, like every page now opens instantaneously. It's like the second I have a thought and freaking my fingers move, it just happens in front of me. And it's crazy, dude. I can't tell you how much time and energy I've saved.
Dude, I didn't realize how much I took Wi-Fi for granted till I got to this Airbnb and I was like loading up like a website and I'm like, I've actually been sat here for a minute waiting for this thing to load. And I was like, I need to have better patience. Because they honestly, bro, I was like, this is correct. Like, I don't mind not being able to do work if you're like ill, but like Wi-Fi is just something I can't play with that. I'm like, I need the Wi-Fi's, bro. So I just assumed that Airbnb had the Wi-Fi, bro. But I was just disavowed of that belief system very recently. I tell you, like,
as one does when they start traveling a fair bit. Yeah, no, I feel you. Was this back in France or was this in Dubai?
This was Dubai, bro. Yes, it's beautiful Dubai. I'm getting dark mode now as well, dude. Oh my goodness, I'm changing all codes, dude. We're just figuring everything out over here. But dude, how was Japan?
Japan was great, man. Yeah, a good 2 weeks or so with my mother and father. We got to explore
that's so cool.
Tokyo, Osaka, and then Kyoto. I got to engage in my weeb fantasies. I went to this radio tower that's pretty popular in a bunch of animes I used to watch. But a good time. Good time.
And did you manage to take some well-deserved time off, bro?
I did, yeah. It's about time. You were bang on. You know, Jack and I had a discussion off the pod about that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I finally got to like chill, disconnect for a little bit. I still did some daily community management, but aside from maybe 45 minutes a day or so, I was like entirely present with my mother and father. So cool.
Wow. That's you come back richer. Like you forget you need that time to disconnect and charge up a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's good for my health too. I mean, aside from the terrible jet lag, holy shit. God damn, this is freaking flying 13 hours across the Pacific, not good for your sleep. But aside from that, like, I feel like my health has improved, you know? I just feel calmer. I feel like more relaxed. I feel like I was just carrying all of this cortisol with me for the better part of the last maybe like year or so since I really started that generational run. And now I just feel chill. I could take some time off, you know?
That's cool. You've earned it, bro. I think sometimes you need your bodies to be like, bro, you're doing a great job. You can take a freaking break and relax. Like, it's like, because when you're in it, you're thinking, no, I've got to lock in. I've got to make it happen. I feel exactly like I was at the gym today and I was thinking, dude, you know what? Like, because I should, for you don't know, I've been in Dubai, New York, France, and England in the past 4 weeks. And I never made the mental adjustment in my head that I need to alter my workload. So from my point of view, the output has to be consistent. And I'm like, I said to my chick, I was like, dude, I just feel like I've got no time for anything. It's like, yeah, you've literally been on the plane for 7 hours and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, maybe that might have something to do with it. But I have like what is known as life admin to do, which is like, I just don't budget for that time at all. So like, I think one of my watch outs is like stuff like apartment shopping and stuff like that tends to kind of just like blend it. And like, I don't know if you found that, bro, with your travel and stuff, but that was pretty wild, actually. Pretty well getting that sorted out.
Yeah, definitely. The various like apartment bookings and Airbnbs and like where you go to eat, you know, like where are you going to grab coffee in the morning if that's something that you do. Yeah. So I feel that. But, on the note that we were talking about previously, one of my buddies, Nick Tan, just moved out to Dubai, from my understanding. And he's out, you know, where you are. So maybe I can get you guys connected. He does a bunch of like service business agency accelerator stuff too. But before he left, I had a dinner with him at this restaurant here in Calgary. And I just remember him, who's been in this situation a lot longer than I have. You know, he's had all these different businesses and he's been making a fair amount of money for quite a while. He just said, you know, I just had this realization and it's like, I can just take time off and then I can come back and like business will still be business. It's not like I'm going to lose fundamentally the ability to drive results leaving. Mm-hmm. And it's like part of that is just real confidence, like feeling confident that you're not just riding some wave or something, but you've actually developed a strong enough set of skills, strong enough mindset. It doesn't really matter, if you take 6 months to be with your parents or something like that, or you take 3 months to say goodbye to your grandma or grandpa or some shit like that. Like, trust that when you come back, you will be able to make it work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is a good question, actually. I asked one of my good buddies this. Where does your confidence, where do you derive your confidence? So like, say, for example, something's not going well in business that day, that month. Maybe someone says, Nick, I'm leaving. Or like maybe that client's like not happy. Where do you personally drive your assurance from? What helps you sleep at night?
Basically, your confidence, in my view, comes directly from the number of times you've had similar experiences and then succeeded. And so anytime you're faced with a new challenge, your brain just mentally goes and says, hey, is this something that I've done before, or some variant of something that I've done before? And the answer to that question is yes. And just perform some other additional calculation, which is like, okay, how many times have I attempted to do something like this before? And then proportionally, how many did I succeed? And then how many did I fail? So this is like action before thinking, like I think a lot of people believe that they need to sort out their mental before they get into, business and really crush it. They need to like perform freaking soul surgery here with affirmations and, writing down their, their beliefs and all that shit. And like, well, I think that's tangentially helpful. I would much rather just stack up enough wins behind me every time I do stuff that like I could just look back and be like, oh yeah, the last 100 times that I was faced with similar situations like this, let's say some public speaking event or maybe some podcast like this or some business consultation, whatever. I'm like, 80% of those times I was good. So odds are I'm going to be good this time too. And just takes such a load off when you do it. Obviously, self-fulfilling prophecy, you got to do 1, 2, 3. Like you got to get the ball rolling initially. That's not always easy. But yeah, once you have some momentum behind you, I think it's pretty trivial.
I love that perspective, dude, because some people will say, hey, my family is always going to take care of it. Or they'll say something like, I have a certain amount of money. Personally, bro, I take absolutely zero security from money, like zero. I think I could genuinely have a crazy amount. I don't think there's an amount where I'd be like, whatever happens, I can have the money. I really don't. That doesn't personally drive me. I take a similar approach to you on this. Mine is skills in a sense of like, I think you've got to back yourself that you'd figure it out. And the best way to prove that is zooming out and saying, well, trajectory, have you always done it? You'd figure it out. You'd do it again. And I think that's it. Like but I don't get any personal security from anything like that. I don't. Yeah. It's more about like, ultimately, I think your highest leverage form is when you back yourself to figure it out. And if you can do that, then you can do essentially anything. It's the safest. It's a non-dependency on anyone else. Like almost like, well, if it all fails, then, my mum will help out. Like, I don't think is like super, super robust. So I think like if you drive that yourself, it's the healthiest way to go about it. And well, for me personally, like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm sure you see this a lot in your own community. But I know in mine, one of the biggest things that we realistically support with is just like concern and worry and like a lack of confidence. And I didn't really realize it until quite recently. I was like, oh no, I'm teaching, skills, and I'm teaching this and I'm teaching that, all these like concrete deliverables. But the real like soft non-concrete deliverable is like confidence, really. Everybody comes in super worried. It's like, oh, should I do this or should I do that? Right? And it's like, well, doesn't really matter. You should just do something. So pick one, flip a freaking coin, and then do it.
Dude, it's funny. You forget us being entrepreneurs for like 8-ish plus whatever years, you build these skills over time where you go through incredible high income periods, bits where, oh crap, the thing stopped working. What do I do? Like, and you train that muscle. And then when you see it again, you're like, I've done this before. I get it. And you forget people going through that the first time. It's like they're in the weeds of it and stuff, and they lack perspective. Dude, I'm going to take a sharp 90-degree turn because there's actually a couple of things we have to talk about this week that have hit in the news pretty wild. Where do you want to start? Okay, I've got 2 I want to cover with you, bro, okay? Because we got a lot to catch up on. Actually, there's 3 things. One is, do you want to go into video technology or do you want to go into some controversial things unfolding in the make money online space that dropped a couple of days ago?
Oh boy, dude, I don't know. I don't know, man. We gonna get canceled for this?
Maybe that's what we need.
That sounds pretty fun. Let's do
Should
both.
We get canceled?
Let's start with the make money stuff.
Okay, so where do we start? So we had a pretty famous um a guy of high knowledge, you could say, um, has been recently embroiled in some lawsuits from the SEC, which is quite interesting about investor funds and stuff. And I think for me, what's been most interesting about this is the reactions, and I think we checked some of the coverage and videos on it, bro. But this individual, I think, has like obviously super high skills in what they do, but has come under criticism and stuff. So obviously, the bigger you get online, the more people will criticize and your reputation and stuff like that. But what's most interesting to me is that it hasn't affected their ability to generate income and cash online. Regardless of all the controversy, they're still able to do that, which I think for me is one of the most interesting stories in this whole thing.
Could we just call him by his name?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's call him by his name.
All right. So Tai Lopez, obviously being invested by the SEC for fraud, essentially Ponzi scheme stuff. Tai Lopez created a social media marketing agency model over 10 years ago. And that was really one of the very first business course, probably the only real business course that I ever took in my life, SMMA. And I distinctly remember he had some video where he was just like, literally just walking down the street. I don't know if he had like a cup of coffee in his hand or something. It was like casual, like 8-minute video of him walking down the street, some random ass street, probably in like Texas or Florida, or just being like, business is, easy and like anybody can do it and this and that. And I gotta be honest, that was one of the biggest unlocks of my entire life. Not because the content was incredible, but because I realized you could sell freaking anything. You could literally monetize an 8-minute video of you randomly walking down a street, bullshitting about whatever topic. Like if you had the credibility and you had the clout. So SMMA for me was like life changing. I did not immediately start applying all the, stuff that he talked about in the business model. And to be honest, the business model itself was not very sophisticated or anything like that. It was probably about as simple and bullshitty a business model as you could possibly get. But the big unlock for me was just like, wow, you can make money doing anything. Like because that guy just took a random walk and told his buddy, yo man, start filming. I'm gonna make some content. Like people are wiring actual money through tiny tubes and depositing it in his bank account. And like he's just some guy, like you can't discount the fact that like obviously he knows his internet marketing or whatever. And he's been running some of the most successful ad funnels of all time. But like his big point of value for me was actually doing a really poor job with information products and me realizing that you can still make a ton of money anyway. And I was like, well, fuck, if that's how low the bar is, Jesus Christ, I got to give this shit a try.
You got to give it a go. But dude, isn't that so funny that like you can just do it, get started and profit from it? I mean, like from my point of view, bro, what's really interesting about all this stuff as well is like because the biggest contention with the SEC is a Ponzi scheme, right? And people don't know Ponzi scheme is you basically pay new members with previous members' funds. That's pretty wild. I mean, have you ever been involved in a Ponzi? Have you ever been Ponzi'd, Nick? Have you ever applied?
I've had a lot of people try and Ponzi me, but my Eastern European frugality just basically has stopped me from investing in literally anything except for diversified ETFs, if I'm honest.
Wow.
I've had some Bitcoin Ponzi possibilities. And actually, I distinctly remember an opportunity that my friend presented me. He's like, yo, dude, like, I know this guy that knows all this fucking Bitcoin stuff, whatever. It's some yield farming opportunity or some shit. I don't know. There's like a new term for Bitcoin or crypto investing every goddamn day. And he's like, dude, like, 30% guaranteed, like year over year. Like, it's crazy. And I'm just like, wow, like that sounds way too good to be true. And I was like, I don't really feel comfortable with this. So no, I'm okay. And then a year went by and then, yeah, it turns out it was a Ponzi and they were paying people with the investment proceeds.
Yeah, because this happened with, what was that coin, bro? Where it was like, we're going to guarantee. Here's the thing, like, if it sounds good to be true, it almost definitely is. Like, the closest time I ever got to getting scammed was probably 10 years ago when I didn't have the wisdom or the coffee knowledge that I have today, Nick. But I think I've told you the story about this company. It had a really funny name like Platinum Properties or something like this. And I was like, okay, like now you're like, okay, really? That's crazy. But the kind of interesting thing about it was that it was positioned in a way that sounded just good enough that it could actually work and be true. And I went down to this guy's office and I was kind of like thinking about it. And anyway, like you learn from going through these experiences, but the general rule is that if it does sound too good to be true, it almost certainly is. I didn't lose any money in that one, but I almost did. But this is why social proof is so important, like having credibility and that your reputation is everything, because it can take decades to build, moments to break. And once you kind of, through associations and stuff, kind of get that bad reputation, it can kind of follow you around for quite a long time, potentially forever.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Ty Lopez's specific investment scheme, I forget the name of the business, but the whole idea was that they were buying up almost dilapidated like assets. So like Radio Shack, for instance, and then converting them into basically fully e-com stores. From my understanding, that was like the whole idea. And so he was taking investment from people in order to do this, then promising exorbitant returns, 20% every period. And I think the periods were like 6 months or something.
Yeah.
So, I basically, as a rule, would rather spend my time and energy improving my skills than I would trying to work out the mechanics of an investment scheme like this.
100%.
And so basically every single time that I'm faced with a decision to either invest in something that like I have very little knowledge in or whatever, or just take the money and use it to like grow my team or grow my skill set or whatever, I always choose the skill set. And that has never failed me yet. I've avoided all of these like Ponzi style things. I've avoided like the uncertainty and the stress of like not getting my money back. I've avoided all of that. And it's like, am I missing some returns? And are some people here like, well, yeah, creating wealth is different from like maintaining and growing it. Like I might be missing something. I don't know. But like, it's got me, better off than 99.9% of people on planet Earth, at my age, which I think is, like skills are going to compound way faster than a 20% freaking investment in Radio Shack, dude. So like, just don't even think about it.
Well, it's this classic thing. There's three things. There's making wealth, there's saving wealth, and there's growing wealth. And it's like a lot of people will spend a lot of time in this third category. Well, I'm on 8%. Could I get 8.5? Could I get 9%? And they'll have spreadsheets and they'll be like pulling their calculations up. And they'll spend 10 to 15 hours a week. Like I'd call it like basically financially masturbating over like percentages. It's like, dude, if you just put that effort in the skill acquisition, like if I can just 10x this column, your 1% is irrelevant because I've just 10x the whole thing. And the proxy for the capital creation is just skills. That's the biggest connector, right? The S&P 500. So just focusing on that. And I agree with you, dude. You want a boring investment strategy and an exciting life, not an exciting investment strategy and a boring life. Like, dude, if you've got like $2,000 to your name and you're spending all your time about how you're going to double it with the next like shit coin, bad idea, dude. Like, bad idea. You're better off focusing in on like, but I actually think that's the law of crypto because I've been looking at crypto recently as a bit of a hedge, as a bit of an investment. But it's like, to me, my take on the crypto space at the moment, I think a lot of the energy around it is, I've seen it 100x, 1000x. Like, it's like, if I could just get that next coin, Nick, if I could just invest in Dogecoin 2.0 or Shiba Inu coin, then maybe I could reach $1 million really quickly. And it's that mentality of get rich quick. Which oftentimes, by the way, like they say that there's usually an element of greed before you get scammed, an element of I want to 10x it. I want more, and that almost blurs your vision from assessing the opportunity properly. And it's the lowest ROI thing you could do.
Like, hypothetically, let's say you are some, recent college grad with $10,000 to their name and you invest in Fartcoin plus 3,000. And Fartcoin plus 3,000, I know, right? Like, dude, sign me up. Has massive potential and blah, blah. And fucking whatever, man. You YOLO your 10K into Fartcoin plus 3,000 and then it hits, $1 million and then you cash out. Now you got $1 million. What did you just do? You just trained your brain to take stupid ass, dumbass gambles and investments and then massively pay off. So what the fuck are you going to do next time when Fartcoin 4000x plus comes out? You're going to be like, well, shit, man, last time worked so well. Dude, your wealth's going to go away like that. Like, it is not a sustainable strategy towards scaling any sort of wealth. And so if the first time you walk into a casino, you win big, the house is going to take that back eventually. That's just how it works. Just avoid the whole game entirely. It's a freaking, hamster wheel.
It is. Fartcoin's got a market cap of $670 million, by the way. But like, just for the record straight, I agree. And it's like, we had a buddy actually who did the biggest YOLO ever on a stock, bro. And he like 10x'd it. And we were like, what? But it's like, it's not about whether you win or lose. It's about, do I win this 100 times in a row? And it's like, it's the same mindset that took that super high risk thing. It means you're going to do it again and you're just going to get burnt on one of the next 10 things that you do. which is why the same guy that went from zero to $3 million with Dogecoin, he was on the iced coffee hour with like Graham Stephan. They were like, dude, you made freaking $3 million. And they were like, look, I know this is funny. I know it's a meme. Like, please liquidate this like freaking immediately. Like, you need to take this 3 million. You're set for life, basically. Like, just stop. And he's like, dude, no. But his logic was, well, I could have stopped at 100K. I could have stopped at $1 million, and I wouldn't have 3. And it's like, dude, yeah, you sprinted up and down the motorway and you didn't get hit by a car. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen now, right? And he didn't do it. And he ended up losing like all of it. And it was like, he was crazy enough to go and do it. But it's just like, past performance isn't always an indication of future results. And so it's like, I just don't think it's really sad. You want a little bit of high risk exposure, obviously, but like, bro, in the main, dude, it's crazy. Like,
you know, it's weird. Like, I've never really felt that greed with services, and then with what I'm doing now. I feel like this is just something that is so inherent to speculation, where like, if you think by clicking a button you could make all of this money, like it just inherently makes you so much more greedy because the amount of work required to make that money is little. Whereas like, when I think about service income, you know, like if I want to grow my agency to $300,000 a month this year, like that's a ton of work. And I know that's a ton of work. I don't know, like maybe my whole conception of greed is just like tied to being able to make a lot of money with very little work. Because I've just, I mean, I don't know. Maybe from the outside in, I personally look really greedy or something, but like I've never really felt myself as greedy. But then I look at like people that make these investments and stuff and just want to like hang on a little bit longer or whatever. And then they make all these decisions that I would consider greedy. I feel like greed is just tied to speculation, or greed is maybe divorced from some form of work.
I like that. I interpret greed as just the antonym to generosity. I think it's just the opposite of generosity. And the way that I sort of think about it is like, people who say, hey, Nick, I want to make money by Tuesday, or hey, Jack, how do I make $10,000 a month by Friday? It's like, first of all, you're not even in a position right now to understand the pathway because your mindset's not right. Like, you're thinking, like, you get rich slow. Like, I don't know about you, Nick, every time I read the book of the tortoise and the hare, the tortoise always wins that race. So it's like, you've got to reframe your worldview that you get rich slow. And it's like, the get rich quick mentality is all about gaming the system. It's about trying to find inefficiencies in the market. The market's super efficient. And this is the whole thing with faceless content in a sense. And I get you can make money from it. Yeah, we've had people in the community talk about that. But it's the lowest leverage thing that you could do for generating income. And that is a good example of a market where, yes, you can make money, but it's like the thing that works is always constantly changing for the next month or so, which is why a lot of people I see in the make money space, which I wasn't even aware of until recently, was this idea of this is why everyone jumped on AI, because AI had this flashy thing like you need to X, Y, Z. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. 3 months ago you were saying it was this other thing, and then this was the thing that was and it was just like, it just constantly, it's whatever the perceived latest hack is that means that it's shorter between where I am and where I want to get to. That's basically it. It's this premise of, this is the hack, Nick, that you've been missing out. And if you just do this new hack, then you'll get there. That's basically what the sell is.
I think that's why a Ty Lopez situation, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Because he jumped into AI, and, a bunch of other these like big info product guys. AI. And, I just look at like their congruence with past behaviors. And I'm like, well, like, 2 months ago, you were talking about some like real estate investment thing into farmland or whatever, and about how that's the next big play. And all of a sudden today, AI is the next big play. I don't know. I guess I look for some form of congruence with that. And then if you're congruent, then odds are you've done hard work to learn how this industry works, and not some flashy thing that's going to fade in like a month. Like, you remember the whole AI product thing with that British guy, Iman Gadzhi or whatever? I don't know if he's still doing it.
Yeah.
But I remember that just came out of nowhere. And it was just like, hey, like, here's how to build an AI business order. I'm like, but like, have you ever talked about this before realistically? Or is this just like,
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
I don't think you have. So I don't know, man. I just look like longer term stuff. Like, what's great about Mr. Roberts, so if I go through your YouTube channel or whatever, like, you've been talking about this for the last 3-4 years, basically every day, to be honest. Like, in some way, shape.
And dude, same with you. I mean, I sold an automation business, which we used Zapier before it was even on YouTube or cool. Yeah. And like, you've had like successful businesses in this space before it was cool in the last year. I'm like, I know we should talk about that a lot more, but like, we didn't just appear 6 months ago because AI agent was trending on Google. Like we, and it doesn't mean necessarily, a lot of people that just appear out of nowhere now saying, "Oh, AI is going to do this." It's congruency. It's like, is this because you've done it, or is it because it's trendy? I think your savvy buyers and investors can see that. But a lot of people do. They'll just click. They'll just like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. I'll just go ahead and do that. And that's just the way that it goes and what they do, man.
Yeah, fair enough. What are you thinking about Sora? That was quite the drop, huh?
Yeah, freaking crazy, dude. So, first of all, have you got an access to? Dude, I need to get one of you. Dude, have you got a code?
Yeah, I'll send you a code right now. One sec.
I did. Okay, so I want to play around with it, dude. I was on a call there. I was like, these codes are like gold dust, man.
Yeah, they're freaking crazy. And I only got one because somebody in a group just sent one over to me. Okay, hold on. Share invite, and this is going directly over to my boy.
Oh, this may get me the hookup, man. I'm gonna get you 6 fart coins for this.
Make it 7, and I'll send you 2. No, when you get one, you get like 5 invites yourself to like send to people and stuff.
So, that's because, dude, they modeled the same strategy as was it Clubhouse? Like that was the social media thing, right? And like you could only get on that from an invite. It was like invite only. That was the only way that you could do it.
I think it's such an organic and cool strategy because if you think about it, like it's actually really, really interestingly done. If you're somebody at OpenAI, you get your invite code. Odds are your friends are probably like similarly high level technology users. And, because of that, the rollout of Sora will be like gradual and it will slowly, very, very slowly start, the user experience will start to diverge from what like the users of the initial product in their test group thought that it would be, right? But very slowly, because it's like 5 invites to your friends. Your friends are all probably tech adjacent or technology people. Then they all get 5 invites, which they send to their friends, which are probably technology adjacent, although maybe less so. And then so on and so on and so forth. So eventually, like you really get a lot of data and you get to gradually learn over the course of maybe like a month or so how slightly different users use the thing. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like, it's like iterative testing of people. Whereas if you just like launched it carte blanche, you'd get users, like literally all sorts of users from all over the distribution. And like they probably immediately start using it in ways that you were not anticipating. And especially if safety is, as important as these companies say that it is, I could see that being like really, really important, right? Really factored in. I think that's what they did with ChatGPT too. I don't know for sure.
Dude, I don't know. It's like, so ChatGPT is an interesting one. This is scarcity, which I think is like everyone wants it now because you can't have it immediately. That's how Clubhouse grew so big because it was recommendation only. So I think they probably also wanted to avoid the threads thing where they had like 1 million users overnight and then like no one used it ever after that. I mean, I don't even know if you use frickin' threads, but like it was hot for a frickin' second and then disappeared. So you don't want this, hot flame. What do we call it? It's like a rainstorm, but you never capture any of the bottom, right? You look at the Sahara Desert.
Yes.
Like, bro, if we did a podcast on like Diary of a CEO or something, Danley Priest was talking about this. It's like a rain cloud in a desert. You need the systems and the tools and the kind of interactive points in your like social media systems to capture that interest and convert it into something. And so I think the corollary of that with this is they don't want to flash it in the pan. They want to slow the growth. I think, but the other key thing is referrals. If you're referred to something, you're more likely to stick longer and also refer other people. So referred users are better because now it's like Nick is saying, Jack, come and check out Sora rather than OpenAI saying, here's Sora.
I never really thought about that. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Like if it's your friend inviting you to do something, you're probably like average user seconds, like 10x's.
100%. Because now it's like you're just going to stick for longer and stick with it. And also now because I haven't been able to get. There's an interesting psychological thing I read in the book called Rewards, and the whole idea of it was that the harder the initiation to the thing, the more you value the thing. So it's why like in universities, like in America, in colleges, they have the what do they call hazing rituals, where you go like fight a pig or whatever it is. Like the more difficult they make that thing, the more you kind of like are more protective of it because you had to pay a high price to get into it. So actually,
I actually do that in America.
Oh, dude, yeah,
they usually have to fight pigs and shit. Jesus,
I think they did. There's rumors that people sleep with pigs in some UK.
Are you for real?
The prime minister allegedly, one of our prime ministers did. They do it, yeah. But it builds a brotherhood. So that changes the I'm not speaking from experience, but
dude, that's getting clipped and put on Sora.
Yeah, I'm getting sold right now. But it was funny. It's like your perception of the service quality goes up. So
Yeah.
I think that's part of the thing. But the other interesting note here, I think, bro, is like distribution and media. Like Grok's got X. It's like creating your own platform is bold. I think it's a really, really cool move. I don't know what the user experience is going to be like seeing it is just a 100% AI generated content platform. I mean, how have you found it as a user, man? Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, the content is AI generated, but it is still like directed by people, right? You're the one that generates the content, so you give it some instructions. So in that way, like it's not fundamentally different from what's going on like Instagram. It's just the bar for content creation has gone down, and you can generate higher production quality content with just a prompt as opposed to you having to like actually film the thing. You know, a lot of slop for sure, but it's still early days, and these tools are soon going to be integrated in basically everything. I bet you Instagram is like foaming at the mouth right now. You know, Zuckerberg is in all of the meetings being like, we need to make you able to like AI generate anything. Like we need to jump on the video shit. So, you know, I think OpenAI's play is like, hey, we just have the best video world model out there. Like in the next 2 months until Instagram catches up and can immediately monetize, TikTok catches up and can immediately monetize their billions of users. We need to like get as many people as humanly possible.
It's like this is the beauty of niche. They said like, we're not going to compete with Instagram on users, organic. We're just going to do only AI. And it's probably a bet. Like, I don't know if you could reasonably expect it, but you're right. If I'm TikTok and Instagram, I'm thinking, do we have enough data to know that this is profitable? Maybe, maybe not, but they call it a 20% chance this is insanely profitable. It's probably worth making your own right now. Just in case it is, so you get a head start. Like you don't want to wait a year until this is so freaking big and has crushed it, and then you're a year behind developing it. So I don't know what the profit models are, but in a strange way, they have vertical integration because actually it isn't just the platform itself; it's the fact that you're using their products to generate the content on the platform.
Yeah, very true. What I think is cool too is like long-term play-wise, the content that gets engaged and liked and stuff like that more is like a positive reward signal that you could feed back into any sort of AI model to continuously produce more engaging and more hooking content. So like, you know, when you build that directly into Sora and then you have like likes and comments and stuff like that, like you do have a very straight line path to crack addiction, basically like virtual crack addiction that is infinite and AI generatable. So kind of worried about that. I follow this one guy on Twitter named Cash who, just like some programming guy. He actually used to work at X. He just got fired.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Got fastest like hire at X/Twitter to fire. I think it was like a couple of months or something, but
oh, damn.
He said, do not watch this. He's just like carte blanche. Like, do not watch any of this stuff. This is like wireheading, like within, you know, very, very quickly, because they have access to all this data, the content's going to get really, really good. And it's going to like really fuck with your head. If you guys think like current algorithms are good, like this is going to blast you. He's like, so as a rule, I'm not ever watching this stuff. And I think there's something to be said. I mean, you know, I'm playing around with it and like it's cool or whatever. I created some really stupid ass brain rot reel of myself.
What did you create? And then just 2 seconds, but I've got something to do. I'll be 1 second.
Okay, sounds good. Well, actually, why don't I just show you guys? Might as well, right? Some silly ass brain rot footage I made. So. Yeah, that's me in a BMW. This is another one. You can just AI generate that stuff, huh? Pretty wild. Hey, Jack. Sorry you missed it.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, dude. Just my AI generated door guy dropping some stuff off.
Oh, good, man.
Yeah, so you've dude, yes, you've created some cool stuff. Is it with your own face or did you use something else for that?
Yeah, they're giving you like the ability to cameo. So you take some recordings of your own face and then you upload it to Sora, and like it actually does a reasonably good job at maintaining some sort of like facial fidelity. So in my case, I'd say it's like 90% better. It's better than any other model. And it's kind of scary, man, because it replicated this background and it replicated my face talking about some silly shit. Granted, still only a few second clips, but it was like completely indistinguishable from me.
Really? Damn.
So think about the amount of content that like you'd be able to generate talking head style. Not that talking head content I think is going to be really all that valuable in just the next couple of years. Because again, crack, right?
Yeah, it's just going to crush you, dude.
Yeah.
Would you consider doing AI gen stuff for Instagram with this new tech if it was comparable?
Like working with Instagram or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just like,
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This guy, oh geez, Callaway, I think.
Yeah.
He made some tweet and he's like, if you guys thought like Andrew Tate's Tate Gang clip farming was crazy, wait till you see Sora cameo likeness farming, where like big creators are going to open source their cameos. So like their facial data and then be used millions upon millions of times. Boosting their like visibility and brand like a million times over, which made me think a little bit like maybe there's like pre-AI content and post-AI content where like literally the only thing that matters right now is just getting as popular as humanly possible before this insane inflection point where like you can AI generate anything. And so like, if you think about it, like you have, freaking like, I don't know, probably well over 100,000 people that like know your face and they like you and they respect you. So if they saw a reel of you in their feed, like it'd be fun and it'd be enjoyable, right? But if you had zero distribution, you're completely the same as anybody else. So I feel like there's this interesting theory where, after AGI, all of our social hierarchy will be entrenched. And so you'll have zero social mobility. And so like, if you're the guy that has like 1 million followers or whatever, you'll be here. And if you're a guy that has 10 million followers, you'll be up here. 100 million followers up here. And then after that, it's not going to matter because all of our content will be multiplied by 1 billion times and anybody will be able to do anything with us.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this right, but I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
No, I do. I do. You mean, okay. So the only reason you and I don't have 100 videos coming out every day is because there's a bottleneck, and that bottleneck is known as there's only one Nick and one Jack, and we have hours in the day, and we need to drink coffee and go to eat dinner with our chicks and stuff, right? So if we remove that bottleneck, and I could create content to the level I want to create it, or even just like thoughtcoin content of just goofs and gaps that was interesting and valuable, there would be more content than you could possibly ever consume in a week. Just in the same way of like, let's say you got your favorite band. If I could and they release 12 songs a year, if I could get infinite number of their songs that was at the same quality, I could have a new song every hour for the rest of my life, right? So basically there's no limit now on the consumption that I can have. So if that is true, then yeah, I mean, I still think you could discover new people. I mean, there's a big argument now that says that you only really have 2 years left to build a brand. At that point, you've hit this infinite scale, and you're like you're saying, right, you're pretty much locked in at that point. That's why I think like building a brand right now is like an urgent thing. Like you need to get on it and start doing it like immediately.
Yeah, that's why I push so hard. At some level, I believe that. I really do. It's just like a hierarchy thing. You just get locked in, right? Like when the supply goes up 1 billion fold, the demand's going to go up a little bit, right? Because more content, more engaging stuff, more people are going to watch it. But like maybe it'll go at 10x. It's not going to go up 1 billion x. So when supply goes up 1 billion x, then obviously the value, microeconomically speaking, just plummets. So if the value of like an individual piece of content plummets and everything gets totally commodified, then the only value, for just speaking strictly theoretically, is just like the pre-existing distribution, which is kind of interesting.
You got to crush distribution. And like I've realized this about like I've been thinking a lot about deconstruction, about different platforms and stuff. And like we say this all the time about brand. Brand is an asset that doesn't have a number on a spreadsheet, so it's not easily tracked. But it is created, and everyone has a perception of everybody. Like, if we ask each other what are the top 3 things associated with Nick, what are the top 3 things associated with Jack, there'll be like a set number of things that you have as your brand identity. But it's like, it's one of those weird things, isn't it, bro? Brand that like, it is just the average of your experiences with an individual. And actually, like when we think of content strategy, we often think of it's easy to think about it in terms of like the current business economics that you've got, right? Like, okay, you want more users, more clicks, whatever the thing is. But people don't usually, like we do, think about it in terms of like, what do I want to be known for in 10 years' time, and make those 10-year plays and associations and brand investments. Because that actually becomes the real asset. And like, if you have a good brand, you can start any business you want to. Plus you've got all the skills that you use in the first place to get to that position. So at some point, like, I've noticed the top guys engineer it. They just literally engineer it. or you'll end up getting it. Like, okay, here's a good example, bro, on sponsorships. Like I told you there was a company that wanted to sponsor me, and I was like, I know we both reject a lot. One company I was interested in, and I had a conversation with them. I even recorded a video, but when I was just recording the video, I was like, I'm not sure I actually believe this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And I refunded them, and I was like, I can't do this video. I sent them the money back, and I was like, I can't do it. But like, obviously, short term, there's a financial loss, but like, I just can't put my name to something that I don't 100% believe in. I only got that when I was like doing it, and I was like, actually, no, I think this is right.
Who am I? Dude, that
this?
happened to me. Like,
but do you know what I mean, bro? Because we've spoken about it before. You've gotten like offers and stuff for sponsorships. You don't really do sponsorships on your main YouTube channel, right, bro, at the moment, or whatever it is?
No, I don't do any, but I got to say the Instagram stuff, I completely understand where you're coming from. My mistake was I just kept doing it. I was like, well, people aren't going to care all that much. And then I did pitch a couple of products, which I don't really like. Like I've since like gone through, I've used the products. And I'm like, wow, did I really tell like hundreds of thousands of people to use this? Like, Jesus, fuck. And what am I going to do? Like, sorry guys, I fucked up. This platform sucks. Like nobody's going to see that anyway. But, I feel like you have to make at least one misstep as you figure this out.
You have to, dude. Yeah, everyone knows that. Like, you're not defined by that, but like, it's like, I think you're really cool for this, bro, that you're very diligent about who you do work with. And same here. I've definitely seen, we have in our life, like these kind of like, some people are things that inspire us, and others are kind of alarm bells and signals of don't go by those rocky waters over there. And I've seen some people by the rocky waters that basically just chill anything. Anyone that turns up with a paycheck, it's like, I'll freaking back this thing right now and do like a video on it. And like, I've noticed my own like perception of like, when I've seen creators like that, it's like, it's funny because no one says, hey, you're shilling for anything, but people definitely start thinking it. And they're like, dude, like I tried this and it's freaking ass. Like you spent like 30 minutes telling me about it and it just wasn't great. Like, I think there's a definite damage, but again, that brand value doesn't sit on as a numbers. You don't actually get to see it, but I've seen it on YouTube a lot now.
You see like a slight drag and everything, and it's very slight. And, it starts off small, but then it's like 10% here, 10% there, 10% there. And before it, like your total subscriber base relative to the actual views you get and the positive comments you get, ratio is completely different. It's very difficult to stay pure. And it's a shame that I've sullied my own brand a little bit, at least on Instagram, by doing some sponsorships that I didn't really fully vet beforehand. But I think this takes back to the Ty Lopez thing, right? Like, I got like a request to do podcasts with him. And this was right around the time I believe all of this stuff was going on. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, is it really worth it? I got to fly all the way out there. He's such a cool guy. It'd be really dope to see him and like sit down and blah, blah, blah. But there was just always like something at the back of my mind. And I was like, well, is he talking about AI? Like, that's not very congruent with the stuff he was doing before, right? So why does he want to do this? And like, that probably was the thing that pushed me over to the edge to not do it. And because I chose not to do it, I know, I now no longer, like, I don't have that association, which is nice. It's positive to me because, your reputation going down actually physically drags the reputation of like the closest, maybe 100 people to you down as well.
100%.
I'll have to deal with that now. Yeah.
But did you see this whole thing with Emma Watson and J.K. Rowling?
No, what happened?
So basically J.K. Rowling's been like, she's a feminist, and she was like, hey, I don't like this trans thing. I mean, we are getting into controversial topics now, man. I tell you.
Yeah, we're just speed running getting canceled.
So yeah, speed running cancellation. But like, the point is, like, she said, look, I don't agree with this particular thing, right? And then Watson was like, you're really bad for that. And so anyway, the point is, at the time, it was very unfashionable to have that point of view. And she basically, she was getting death threats, some of these like not great things. And then recently, some things happened, and J.K. Rowling had this response for Emma Watson. It's like all over YouTube and stuff. And what was interesting about this was the fact that the tides of what is popular in mainstream changes. And there are some like creators and brands that only back what's popular. But the thing about it is, like, what's popular in the eye of a viewer can change sometimes in terms of like, okay, good example. I don't know, selling AI agents. Okay, like, and then we were like, it's systems, right? Like, you need systems, not like agents. It's more business than it is AI. But there are a lot of people that like, and that would have been very unpopular opinion to have on early. But then the tides change and people start realizing what's actually true. So it's almost like, I think to have an authentic brand, you've got to say things that aren't that you really believe that aren't necessarily mainstream.
Yeah, true.
And be
So you got to
comfortable
be
with it.
disliked. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, look at how quickly Donald Trump became president of the United States after just making his declaration. His beliefs, I mean, at least I don't really know. I'm not American, right? But from what I can see, anyway, his beliefs have always been pretty dang similar. Love him or hate him. He's just been the same sort of dude, like, for a long ass time, and he just speaks in a very specific, very blunt way, and that hasn't changed. And that's probably to some degree why so many people like him. Like they just like they what you see is what you get type shit. It's like no surprises here, versus like other politicians that seem extraordinarily immaculately well taken care of, and they always say the things in the perfect way, and everything's so beautiful and logical. But then some event happens, and then they change their tune completely, say the same shit just in another direction, and you're like, well, I don't really know what I can trust. Are there any major creators here that have just been saying the same thing? Like that you can think of, like the exact opposite of like the recent, big YouTuber jumping on the AI bandwagon for no reason other than it just like obviously gets clicks.
Dude, I don't know actually, man. Because like I sometimes wonder when I see stuff, I'm like, maybe because we're in it, bro. When I see it, I'm like, that's like, I don't know why that, but like people who've been saying one thing for a long period of time, even though it's boring. I don't know. I don't think so, man. I'd like to think there's a few. There's some that are very refreshingly niche on some things, but I think generally speaking, you don't. A lot of people just chase the click and chase the whatever's current. Not everybody, obviously, but like I think that's the incentive. The thing is to understand, guys, is like that's the incentive structure, is to do the content that will maximize the clicks. That we see this across every single layer of the creator stuff. So having the balls to say, I think that's crap, and having contrarian opinions, I think is super important now.
Yeah, I'm game. Dude, you know what we should do next time? We should go deep into like content strategy and then business strategy.
I think that'd be so freaking sick.
Yeah, it's been a while since we chatted stuff like that. I'd be so game to chat super controversial politics while just crushing noobs and COD.
we should do controversial politics.
We do that on the Twitch or whatever stream. That just becomes our thing, and then here it's like business strategy. That'd be pretty funny.
Well, we'll do. Well, you guys, I sent Nick a photo of his gaming setup in this like store in Dubai, and it has like these freaking like freaking thick headphones, and like honestly, like guys, this screen was freaking like it would like bend around. Like I'd have to turn my head to like snipe at people either side of it. So I'm genuinely like I might go there tonight after this podcast and just buy loads of stuff. But we're gonna get, dude, because we've got a couple podcasts to catch up on. We're gonna get PC. We're gonna stream it. What game are we playing, Nick?
Oh man, we can either do Halo, or we could do COD, or we could do Fortnite, we could do League of Legends. We could we crush some Minecraft or something. Like I just feel like it'd be funny. Honestly, you just have like a very affable personality. Like you're fucking hilarious. I feel like we riff reasonably well. I'm sure it would just be like a good way to turn your brain off and watch some dudes play video games. And it'd be good for us to turn our brain off too. Hell, we could even do some QA or something.
I honestly, I actually think it's going to be awesome. I think we're going to crush it, dude. I just want to do it. I've not played games in like 3 months.
Yeah, I'm game, man. Let's do it, bro. Let's get it up. We could do it literally in like the next week. I got to buy a big gaming PC setup too, because I don't have shit, but that'd be fun.
Okay, so we're on the 3rd of October, time recording. We're going to get this stuff logged. Maybe, dude, actually, I could even probably do it from next week, actually, to be fair. I'll get that stuff ordered this weekend, and then next week we could do it.
Yeah, me too, man. That sounds awesome. I'm game. Fuck it.
All right, Britt. Well, let us know more controversial topics you want us to cover down below in the comment section. If we didn't get cancelled, we'll try our best next week. And yeah, good to see you as always, Britt. We'll catch up with the next one.
Likewise, man. Great work making it over to Dubai. You had those intentions and you turned them into reality. Stoked to talk to you soon.
Absolutely, bro. Thank you, Britt.